From the alley-oops at Keyshaw to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way. From off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Alex, it's live stream time. It's Q&A time. Everyone, start piling up those questions. I want to have a great conversation. There's always a lot going on, and this week is no shortage of crazy stuff going on in 49er land.
Accurate, Ant. It's no shortage at all. There's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of things going on. And, we got a little bit of a mix-up schedule here today. We had some rendering issues yet again because Thursdays, for whatever reason, in the afternoon, it just doesn't want to cooperate with us the way we'd like it to cooperate around here. But the good news is, the preview show's not delayed till tomorrow. The preview show is just delayed till after this. So as soon as this is done, you can head on over and check out the preview show. I'll drop a link in the chat as well. And Megan, how are you doing? Sorry you had to cut the conversation extremely short there. But yeah, we're live. We're ready to go.
Yeah, Megan thought going live at 4:30 meant calling you at 4:30.
It's true.
So, that was interesting.
Hey, you know what? It's miscommunicado, babada booby. I don't know. I don't know. But hey, we're here. We're ready to talk with you, the Cutback crew. Maybe
what's up,
answer
JLE?
some questions that you guys
What's
may
up,
have
Corey?
about what's going on. I don't know. A lot of good stuff though.
What's up, 49er Chanel?
I think it's 49er Chanel. Yeah.
Yeah. What's
you're
up?
right.
Hello.
Right.
David Campbell. How's it going, sir? Team BV50 was in here as well. What's up?
Sure, BV. Everyone's piling in. You love to see it. Questions that you guys have, let us know. You want to start making some bold predictions now? I guess you could technically. But yeah, you got bold takes coming.
You have to wait until the preview show for our bold takes.
Sure, you do got to wait for the preview show. We're not going to give nothing away. You can also, after the preview show too, you can go check out the collab, the appearance I guess I made on the Barroom Network as well. We have someone from the Barroom Network that's going to be on tomorrow for Know Your Opponent. I went over there for their sort of, I guess, Know Your Opponent segment on the 49ers.
Yeah, they do have somewhat of a Know Your Opponent, yeah.
Yeah, so you can go check that out as well and get familiar with the Barroom Network and maybe a few of the personalities or one of the people that may end up on Know Your Opponent this week. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome for that.
JLE's giving you some advice on your relationship. Always communicate relationship advice.
It's important.
Yeah.
It's definitely important. Appreciate that, JLE. Thanks for looking out, my guy.
Open lines of communication is the key, Alex.
Always.
To longevity.
Just very true.
Yeah. Always, no matter, after you get married, Alex, still pretend like you're still dating her, and then drop her back off at her parents afterward.
I feel like that we know somebody. I don't know. Someone that could have probably helped a little bit more of Ant.
Yeah.
Maybe not me. I don't think I need that much help, but I appreciate the concern everybody has. Hey, you know what? You guys have my back. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Other parents' house.
Other parents. Other parents, Ant. Other parents. That's an inside joke that maybe one day you'll be privileged enough if you're a member on this channel.
Yeah, member only live stream story. I think that is coming up.
That is definitely a members only live stream story, and it's 100% of members only live stream story. 49ers buyers or sellers at the trade deadline. I talked about this last night with the Barroom Network. So, Ant, I want to throw this one to you first, and maybe just to you. Maybe we can drive people over there, give them some support and some love. Where are you at? Buyers, sellers, in between?
I'm waiting to see what happens in this football game. The trade deadline is Tuesday, the second after this game. So if the 49ers go out and win this football game and you're sitting there 3-4, you guys still have the potential to make the playoffs. So I think you're possibly standing pat, maybe finding a trade here or there. You don't want to give up a lot of draft capital. You gave up a lot already. So I would say if they do not win this football game, the playoff chances diminish even further, and you consider being a seller at that point. Depending on what the piece is. I don't think you give up any of your cornerstones, but a piece here, a piece there that's in an expiring contract, you might think about going to that.
So I brought up Lincoln Tomlinson as a trade piece potentiality there. I think a lot of people would say no to that because of the way Lincoln's been playing. And I would agree, typically. And people would say, well, it's got to be Brunskill. The problem is I don't think
no
you
one
can.
Wants Brunskill.
No one's going to take him the way he's been playing right now, which is why, for me, like the only piece that logically makes any sort of sense that you could potentially move right now would be Lincoln Tomlinson. That's not a mainstay piece because, right, you have Aaron Banks. you have Jalen Moore. If you really wanted to see how all of these guys work and function and operate, you would deal Laken Tomlinson, get some draft capital back because you could probably get something decent for it. And then you would turn around and start Aaron Banks there at the left guard, move McGlinchey into right guard, and maybe drop Jalen Moore at the right tackle spot and see if that O-line is stable enough to be able to maybe be the O-line you roll with going forward in the future. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. If you end up being a seller, that's the name. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo is the other name that you're probably trying to market out there and find a deal for to get something back capital wise. But yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I'm not really ready to say, hey, we need to sell, or hey, we need to be buying. I think Sunday, right? The nice part is you play early Sunday. You're going to come out of that game knowing exactly where you're at. You got to win, a big win, maybe it's a tight win, whatever. You're going to know exactly where you are, where you sit if you're this front office, and you have the rest of the day Sunday, all day Monday, and up until whatever time it is on Tuesday. I think it's like noon or something like that, or 5 p.m. Pacific.
It's like 4 o'clock Eastern, I think, 1 o'clock Pacific.
There you go. So you have until 1 o'clock, right, on Tuesday to make any moves if you are going to make some. But then again, there's also, the ringings of Trent Williams and Alex Mack in my ear talking about how we have all the pieces we need in-house. There's no one else that we really need to go get. We just got to get it done with these guys because they can do it.
Some pieces that you could sell. Mike McGlinchey, Laken Tomlinson. I think those are two possible. You got McGlinchey's 10.8 is a very affordable right tackle.
Yep.
If somebody's looking to upgrade their tackle position or need somebody because of injury, those two guys make sense. Emmanuel Mosley, he's played well. And yet is pretty affordable. Somebody might be looking for cornerback help.
It's true.
So you could go with that route. If Jaquiski Tart wasn't injured, I would say Jaquiski Tart is another possibility, a guy. And this one's going to scare everyone because I don't think people want to really talk about the next couple guys I'm going to say. But Azeez Al-Shaair, because he's proven how much, how good he can be. He might be somebody that another team would be willing to pay excessive for. And the 49ers could move on from him. I know they don't really, I'm sure they don't really want to, but they're not going to be able to afford him, Dre Greenlaw, and Fred Warner eventually. It's push comes to shove, they're going to have to make a move eventually. And then Ross Dwelly. Somebody might be looking for a tight end that can catch the ball.
See you.
And you go ahead and do that.
Hey, if someone offers anything for Ross Dwelly at this point, I'm like, you have him. Have a great day. David had asked a little bit earlier, who does the drafting for our team, and do you think they're doing a good job? This is tough for a few reasons, right? Number one, the early round draft picks, first couple of rounds, it's not always been a hit. However, there have been some really great draft picks in those first few rounds, whether that was Brandon Ayuk and what he looked like after that rookie season. Javon Kinlaw up until the knee stuff that's been going on. Deebo Samuel early on has looked great. Then you have the later round stuff.
Fred Warner in the third round.
Fred Warner in the third is pretty gosh darn incredible, and it's pretty solid. Then after that you look at the George Kittles of the world. You look at what's going on right now with Jalen Moore and how really absolutely incredible this guy has looked. You also have to take into account the undrafted free agents, because the scouting department that's doing the work scouting for drafts are also looking at the guys that they can target as undrafted, players and potential. Michael Hasty, look at what Elijah Mitchell has become. He's not an undrafted guy, but he's a late round pick. Look at the running back room. Look at some of your safety play. I mean, there's guys all over the place on this team that were low round, late round guys that have panned out. It's just been some of the early names when we've had early draft picks. They haven't panned out. You had the Reuben Fosters of the world. You had your Solomon Thomases of the world that just didn't go San Francisco's way. But for all of those, right, you end up hitting things like Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa is easily one of the best defensive linemen in all of football.
Yeah, I think that it's been hit and miss. I think that they've also changed their philosophy in and around, what is going on. I know a lot of people talk about 2017, the John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan initial draft, where they walk away with Solomon Thomas and Reuben Foster, and they really wanted Reuben Foster. That's why they traded back into the first round, and he had been rumored to go all the way in the top 10. So he was that kind of talent. Now, off the field issues ended up being his undoing. But part of the reason that they went defensive line with that draft is they were expecting a Nick Bosa style, I guess, rise from Solomon Thomas, and he was going to do that for this defense. They wanted to build through the defense because the whole plan was for them to get Kirk Cousins the next season. In 2018, they planned on having Kirk Cousins as a starting quarterback. Kyle Shanahan felt comfortable with that. That's why he didn't want to go with one of these young quarterbacks that they were going to have to work with, whether that was Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes or whoever. So that was part of the reason that they were willing to make that move. It ends up being a bad move, only because they do get the quarterback, but they don't get the quarterback that Kyle Shanahan really wants. But only because those two first guys don't pan out. If both of those guys would have been hits, we wouldn't be talking about it. I think it is a group effort, though, between John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, and Adam Peters. There has been times where Kyle Shanahan has overrode and got the guy he wanted. I can't remember his name for sure. Joe something, the running back that year. They drafted out of Utah, I believe. They drafted him.
I'm blanking on that too.
And he ended up, he was one that had quit football, came back to it, and ends up being a complete bust. Never really pans out. So there has been misses, and it's unfortunate. But I think there's been hits as well. And I think if you go and look at all the GMs, all across the league, you're going to see that there are moments where they hit and they miss. But for every Solomon Thomas, there's a Nick Bosa. So for every Reuben Foster, there's a Fred Warner. It just balances out.
And don't forget too that you've had the Harbaugh era and the Balky era had its fair share of guys who missed on. I don't know if 49ers fans remember Glenn Coffey, running back, had a great showing in training camp and preseason, and then ends up retiring. And football's not the path for him. That hurts. I'm glad that Glenn Coffey, found his calling, the thing that he wanted to do, and is living the life he wants to live. I'm happy for that. But as an organization, to take a guy where you took him, for him to never play a down for your football team, and to basically call it quits before his career even begins, that's a miss there in the scouting department.
Thanks, Jay Ellie. It was Williams.
It was Williams. You're right. But that's a huge miss in the scouting department in terms of understanding what motivates a guy and what's important to him. There have been these types of misses for San Francisco throughout the years. I mean, this happens with every football team where you look at guys, you think you found something with certain aspects or characteristics of who they are as a player and what they can do in your system. And sometimes it pans out and sometimes it doesn't. That's just the nature of football, as well as what the draft is. The draft is a crapshoot. It's not guaranteed. It's not a gimme. It's a guess, and it's an educated guess.
Well, and the 49ers admitted they took chances early on. I mean, they did. 2017, 2018, they took chances on players that they thought had high potential, but maybe a little bit more risk because they were trying to strike big. And they've changed their philosophy, especially this last year. They really did. They tried to draft players that were always healthy. We think that they, didn't quite get the draft that they wanted, but they still did a good job, especially in the 5th round. They really executed with some big-time players. And I think they have the potential to have, guys in other rounds. I mean, Trey Lance could be the future quarterback that they've always wanted here in San Francisco. And, I mean, that alone is enough to carry that draft. So,
and this draft is already a pretty strong one at this point, just based on all the hits in the 5th round.
Yeah, Hufanga, Jalen Moore,
Elijah Mitchell in
the 6th round.
It's true.
So I mean, the 5th and 6th round were very good. We don't know what's going to come of Ambry Thomas or Aaron Banks. I mean, I know they're not contributing right now. Trey Sermon hasn't contributed much, but it could turn out to be a very good draft. The problem is everyone expects these drafts to go the way that Bill Walsh used to draft, where he would draft 8 guys and all 8 guys would end up being starters eventually, and those things just don't happen very often in the NFL. And it's hard to do, but they've had some mishaps, some missteps in the draft process over the years, and now they got to get it worked out and they got to figure it out. I think they've did a better job, but it appears that right now that 3 through 6th round is their sweet spot of where they're really usually hitting on players that are going to contribute to their team for a long time.
Correct. And DZ, I think it's. Oh man, I hope I pronounced this right. DZ Egum. Do you guys think there's a lack of discipline with us this year, and do we rack the discipline, as my boy Eric Cartman would say on South Park? I don't know if it's a discipline thing, and the reason I say that is because what you have going on here with the consistency is it's not guys losing the same way. You don't see the same guy losing, on a straight bull rush every time. I know McGlinchey has, a few of those a game, but he's had games also where he's studded up completely. Look at the first, 3 games of the season where Jimmy was playing with relatively clean pockets, and there wasn't a lot of bad stuff going on for the 49ers in terms of, pressure on the quarterback. It hasn't been one thing. It's been a lot of different things. And so I don't know if it's necessarily discipline so much as them pressing. Guys feeling like they have to make the big play all the time. And so you have guys trying to, be perfect, trying to make every play, the play that could spring it, for a touchdown or, blow the game wide open or give them and establish some control. And they're missing. And that's because they're pressing too hard. They feel the pressure mounting. It's a much different feeling right now in San Francisco. I watched some highlights of Jimmy Garoppolo 2 nights ago against the Tennessee Titans the first year he came in. All right, and they're going for that third or fourth straight win.
Yeah.
And Jimmy comes into the huddle, and the way he's talking to the guys,
I watched that too.
The confidence, dude.
Yeah.
It's a much different feel because that team was not expected to do anything. Jimmy, you can feel that Jimmy just, hey, I'm here.
There was an aura around Jimmy.
100%. That aura is faded.
Gone.
It's definitely not the same Jimmy Garoppolo anymore. And whether that's because there's pressure mounting, and he feels like this is potentially his last opportunity, and he's seeing this moment almost slip from him at times, and it's just a lot right now in this moment. Whatever it is, Jimmy needs to go back and watch it. I watched that and was like, that's the Jimmy Garoppolo I remember. That's the Jimmy Garoppolo that is why I'm so unwilling to just move on from Jimmy and just say, hey, he can't do this right now. He's not the answer. He's not the guy. I still remember those moments. Those moments were not that long ago, and someone doesn't just forget that. But what can happen is that other things can start impacting the way you view yourself, you view the organization, the team, right? Your contributions to the organization and to the group, in terms of what you bring to the table. Jimmy needs to go back and remember those moments. Jimmy needs to try and find a way to recapture those moments, that confidence, that understanding that, hey, I'm here to lead. I'm not here to not make mistakes. You weren't brought in to be a game manager. That's not what Jimmy Garoppolo was brought in for. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Garoppolo was brought in to lead the offense. He needs to try and seize control of that.
He was invincible then. He was Tom Brady's understudy. He was coming in, and everyone looked at him as the heir apparent, right? I mean, all the talk was that Belichick actually wanted Jimmy Garoppolo and wanted to move Tom Brady.
Yep.
That was the truth. So everyone knew that Jimmy Garoppolo could come in and execute, and he did. And then what happened was he kind of had that taken away from him a little bit in 2018 when he gets hurt with the ACL. As now that invincibility is a little bit gone. Now there's a weakened state. He comes back in 2019 and everyone rallies behind him because they still remember what he could do. And that into that 2017 season. And he sort of recaptured a lot of that ability. Everyone believed in him. Everyone saw what he was. You've seen the confidence, the swag that he had leading this football team. And then 2020 happened again. And once again, invincibility was gone. And Jimmy Garoppolo was stripped down to a different form of person. And he's never been able to recapture that again. And it changed forever when the fans really turned on him. And ever since that's happened, there's been a different aura around him and the way that things have happened. And Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have had to move accordingly to make sure that he's that position is taken care of. And it does shake his confidence a little bit. So he's not going to be that quarterback again. I don't know if he ever will, but he can recover from it. Now, remember, Steve Young had some of these things happen to him where he was rocked, mentally. He had games where he should have taken over and he wasn't able to. And then eventually had all the times he couldn't get over the hump against the Dallas Cowboys. The difference is he eventually got over the hump and won. Can Jimmy Garoppolo get over the hump and win? I don't know if he can in San Francisco. I don't know if that is a thing that can happen anymore for him.
Is it that he isn't capable, Ant, or is it just there's too much that's happened here? There's too much negativity. There's too much doubt, and he's not going to be able to feel like he can, believe in himself and be the person he needs to be without there being, naysayers.
I think that every part of every single competitor doesn't mind if there's naysayers. You want to go out there and prove everyone wrong. The problem is when you go out there and you want to prove everyone wrong, but you don't, when you're not having that success, then it feels like the weight of the world of those naysayers is on your shoulders. And then you're trying to win with every single throw, with every single play, and you start to get yourself in your head, and you don't play free and calm and cool. And that was part of what made him so great was he was so cool and calm and collected. He had that about him. Yeah, that swag. And right now he looks like he's a little bit got happy feet, and he's a little worked up in the pocket a little bit, and he's just not comfortable. And whether that is a mindset thing or if he doesn't trust what he sees or he doesn't trust his body, something is different from Jimmy Garoppolo than it was in 2017. And recapturing it, I don't know if it's possible. I thought maybe coming into this season that if they started rolling as an offense, he would start clicking and maybe he could recapture some of that and maybe play up to the levels of 2019. So far, that hasn't been, that hasn't happened, and they haven't moved in that direction. And after last game, he really didn't look like he was moving in the right direction at all. So we're going to see what happens against Chicago. He's going to have 100+ friends and family in the crowd watching this football game. He's from that area. So if ever there was going to be a game where he was going to, feel like he had some support and he could go out there and compete and try to win, it was going to be this one. And if it's not, it might be the last time they see him as a starting quarterback of the 49ers.
True. And, there's no guarantee based on how he's been playing that, he'll be a guy who has a guaranteed starting spot almost anywhere in the league. The Patriots have made their bed with Mac Jones and are going to go that route. There's no going off of that now and moving in a different direction. You took the quarterback. Of course, there will be teams that the opportunities open up, but no team now, if Jimmy continues to struggle and continues this downward spiral that he's in, no team now is going to bring Jimmy Garoppolo in as the bona fide, solidified starting quarterback. He's in a guy that's going to come in and have a chance to compete for the starting quarterback job. So for Jimmy, there's a lot riding on this week because you and I both believe if this ends up being a loss for San Francisco, the Trey Lance experience for the 49ers probably needs to begin. It probably is the time to start making that shift. The 49ers need to become sellers, get rid of some pieces, get your young guys in. That means you're probably going 6-11. And
I wouldn't even be shocked if they didn't try to roll with Trey and see if he could turn the season around.
With the other guys in place
with everyone and not sell because you could give the young guy the opportunity, right? I mean, if you want him to stay upright, you want Laken Tomlinson blocking for him. So they might decide to do that. It might just be a lot, move from Jimmy Garoppolo and just see if Trey can spark them enough as a last ditch effort to see if they can get into the playoffs. But that's why you would have to pull the trigger after this game. Now, if Jimmy Garoppolo wins, it changes a lot of things.
I 100% agree with you there. It's a tough week, man. It really is. It's a tough week for 49ers fans because there's a lot of 49ers fans who are ready to punt on the season and want this to be a loss because they want to see Trey and they know a loss here is going to almost guarantee that you're going to start moving forward with Trey Lance. And then there's the fan base who's like us, a little bit more rational. I don't really care who the quarterback is as long as we're winning football games and this is a winnable game. I also know we're a game out of playoffs. I don't want to lose. I don't want this team to drop a fifth straight game. I don't want Kyle Shanahan being on the hot seat. I don't want Kyle Shanahan to have to divert from the plan. And the plan, it seems like, we thought it was the Shanahan plan in both guys, but it seems like the plan is protect Trey, use Trey sparingly this year. Don't get him exposed. Don't get him hit. Don't put him out there in a situation where he's not familiar with looks, familiar with coverages, familiar with defenses and schemes. Let's keep him in the back pocket for right now. Use him when it's beneficial to us, and just allow him to continue to work on the things we need him to work on. Work on his release, work on his timing, work on anticipation, work on IDing coverages, work on the calls, understanding his calls, getting in and out of his checks. Let him work on this stuff this year, and then we'll move forward with this young man next year at 22, fresh, a full year under his belt. Right, and getting to learn off of Jimmy Garoppolo's strengths, his weaknesses, his faults, his great plays. I mean, if you're sitting there going, well, what greatness has Jimmy shown Trey? I mean, that what should have been game-winning drive against Green Bay is something that Trey can learn a lot of things from and develop himself off of. All the mistakes that Jimmy Garoppolo is making right now are teachable moments. They're things for Trey to look at and go, okay, that is we're not doing that, right? We're not missing this guy in space. Trey missed a lot of guys against Arizona. Trey is going to turn around and watch the film against the Colts and go, man, Jimmy missed some of these guys too. And we did a lot of similar things. We went to single side of the field against, what looked like zone coverage when we should be going to where we have more guys against the zone to attack. He pre-reads and pre-diagnoses to go to single side to Debo. I do that a lot. He missed a wide open Mohamed Sanu for a touchdown. Man, there's a lot of things that I can learn from this as well. And he should be picking up on all these things, the good and the bad, because all of them teach him something.
Of course. I mean, it's always better to learn from a veteran quarterback that's done it. I mean, we can never forget that Jimmy Garoppolo helped lead the team to a Super Bowl. That means he knows what he's doing. He played under Tom Brady. He understands how Tom Brady attacked every single thing from a mental standpoint. Now he can express those same things to Trey Lance, and Trey Lance can grow from those things. It never means that Trey Lance is going to be Jimmy Garoppolo or play like Jimmy Garoppolo just because he learned from him. He's going to be able to take his physical gifts and take what Jimmy Garoppolo teaches him to a whole nother level because of who he is. He's a more talented quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. There's no question about that. There is a reason that Jimmy's a second-round pick and Trey Lance went third overall. Physical gifts are through the roof. We all knew that. Yep. We all knew it was going to be a time, though, that this guy was going to have to grow. He was not going to be ready to go day one. And I think if Kyle Shanahan had his way, he wasn't going to be ready to go till the end of the season, maybe even next season. I think that's what Kyle Shanahan planned from the beginning. He wanted the growth. He was hoping Jimmy Garoppolo was going to help lead them to the playoffs, give them an opportunity to win the Super Bowl. And then Trey Lance was going to take over next year, and it wasn't going to be a rebuild because it was going to be a reload. You were going to go out there with a bigger, better quarterback than you had the year before, knowing that the team you put around him was already Super Bowl caliber, and
with
you could
more
go to
weapons.
the moon.
Yeah, you can go 100% to the moon, right? Because you can even add more pieces because with Jimmy's contract off the books and the salary cap going up,
yes,
you got $50 million that you're playing around with going, hey, look at us. We got cash. We can pay you, boys. Come on over here to San Francisco. We just won a Super Bowl. We can get you another one. So yeah, I mean, David asked, do you think we beat the Bears? Honestly, I feel 50-50, but I still want to see Jimmy go ham. We won't give you any predictions, but because we got predictions coming up after this in the preview show, so make sure you stick around for that. But what I can say is this is an extremely winnable football game. There's no reason for the 49ers not to be able to win this football game. Khalil Mack is trending towards not playing. Was it Robert Quinn also trending towards not playing?
Yeah, I read Robert Quinn might not play. Hakeem Nicks might even not play. He's limited in practice.
I heard that Roquan Smith is off the COVID list.
Okay.
So I think he's going to be going and going to be playing.
He's a middle linebacker.
Yeah, not a surprise there.
Yeah.
But, they're going to have some key pieces out. Matt Nagy dealing with COVID may not be on the sidelines to coach this football game. So you got their special teams coordinator being their head coach. Sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing. The Raiders are having success right now without Gruden because Gruden's ousted and, they seem to be rallying and doing just fine. There's been a lot of negativity surrounding Matt Nagy, so maybe this motivates the guys to play better. It also could lead to them being a lot more confused in terms of what they want to do because their leader, the guy who's been out there and calling the shots and putting the team in positions, isn't there.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, the 49ers are going to win this football game.
I like it.
So if you're watching later on the prediction show, you know what mine's going to be. 49ers are going to win this game. I don't care if Khalil Mack is playing. I don't care if Robert Quinn is playing. They're going to figure out a way to win this game. I just have a little bit of faith in them that they can do it because I think this defense can confuse the rookie quarterback enough to cause problems. And I actually think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have himself a game. I think Trey Lance is going to be involved in this game plan. And Kyle Shanahan, through necessity, is going to use both quarterbacks again. Sure. I think there was a different energy when those two guys were going in and out on the field. There was an energy in the crowd. There's an energy amongst that team, the excitement that they feel. You need to manufacture some of that. George Kittle's not on the field to get this team excited. So you use those guys to do that, use their skill sets to the best way. Kyle Shanahan knows that if they lose this football game, the season is trending spiraling completely out of control. He's going to do everything he can to stop that. It means all hands on deck. That means he's taking the gloves off for this game, and he's calling all of his best plays. He's putting everything in that he has. You're worried about winning this game, and that's what's most dangerous about a coach and a team like this is you're going in and you're not saving anything. You have to win. You got your backs against the wall. Now you go out and you win this game. You come out fighting. You throw fists, and I think these guys are tough, and they can do it. Plus, they've heard Joe Staley there in this week talk about the fact that this locker room doesn't have strong leaders and all that. You know what that's going to do? It's going to piss some people off. Look, Fred Warner already came out and said, I'm behind Jimmy. Then you got Steve Young saying he felt by watching the game that there's problems in the locker room. What do you mean you felt by watching the game? Get out of here with that BS. They don't know, and all it's going to do is rally these guys to prove everyone wrong. Sometimes that's just what you need. I think they get it done against Chicago.
I agree with you, man. It's going to be interesting to see how this team comes out and how they come out swinging. Depending on how this game starts, we'll give a really good idea of what the confidence level is with this team. If they come out red hot, I know. Oh, I know. Don't spoil it, Ant.
I'm ready to give all the spoilers out.
Don't you be spoiling. It's coming out here soon. We're going to get to it. But look, this is going to be important. This is a huge week. Megan just asked, do you think the Packers will get it done against the Cardinals? This took a very interesting turn last night when we found out about J.J. Watt and what's going on there, and he may be done for the year. Now, people are saying, oh, he's had the surgery's been done in the past 3 to 4 months. He could be back by playoffs. It's very true. He could, 100% could be back for playoffs. But for the regular season, J.J. Watt's going to be out for the Cardinals. Yes, the Packers are without Devontae Adams. Yes, they're without Alan Lazard.
And canceling. That's canceling.
Him too?
Yeah, he's not ready to come back. They didn't want to force him to come back a week early.
They are rolling with a really depleted wide receiving core, Ant. But I said this about the Arizona Cardinals. That defense is very, very susceptible against the run. And now you lose one of your best run-stopping pieces on the interior, J.J. Watt. This game goes from what a lot of people were starting to feel was going to be a Arizona Cardinals blowout. If the Packers run game gets going, that could be a much tighter game. And games against Arizona are now going to get tighter because this is going to impact the way their defense is able to slow down the run.
Well, it's important to watch for 49er fans. We play Arizona next week. It's important to see how the outside zone, how they attack with Aaron Jones against, this Arizona J.J. Watt defenseless defensive line. It's going to give an idea of what the 49ers can do. 49ers lost by 7 points last time in Arizona. This time they get to play them in Santa Clara. I think that there's an opportunity there. So I'm going to be watching. I'm going to see how this defense overcomes. Can Zaven Collins and those in that linebacker crew step up in the run fits and protect against what J.J. Watt was doing? Because J.J. Watt was being a big impact on that run game. So I'm curious how it looks. And ultimately, I'm not sure if Green Bay can still get it done because of the injury. I don't know if J.J. Watt injury is enough, but it might be enough for the 49ers to squeak out a win the next week.
T.O., quick trade to the pack. Brandon Ayuk for a pick. Hey, I'm not going to lie to you, T.O., that's actually a trade that would probably get you a first-round pick back. Packers love Brandon Ayuk.
They love Brandon Ayuk, 100%. The problem with that is if you traded him to the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers would turn this guy into one of the best wide receivers in the league.
You mean to tell me that we should wait on a potential pick, on that potential trade option?
I would, because I think it's enticing for free agents to come play with Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel.
I do agree.
Plus, you have Deebo Samuel that's next year's his last year of his contract. You're going to have to sign this guy to a bigger deal.
It's true.
And if you're not able to, you definitely don't want to lose Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel.
Unless you can replace him with...
That person still needs someone to throw to.
Also true. We'll get there. There's another guy there. It's possible. But hey, look, my dog's best friend, Ant, he just needs to let you know. Okay, so Ant is greater than Hall of Famer Steve Young. Hey.
What I'm saying is I guess I don't have the telepathy that he has, that he can read through watching the game.
Can we also point out that Steve Young was in a locker room, right? Understands how locker rooms function, just like Joe Staley does.
Yeah.
They didn't do this kind of stuff when they were players. They didn't leak information and things like that. And now that they're not in a locker room, they understand Kyle Shanahan's scheme. They understand the locker room culture in San Francisco. There's no way that they know this. They're just saying it now because they're in the media and they need people to watch and click.
Wait, but I can't comment on what Steve Young said. But people will listen to what Grant Cohn says and that he knows more than Kyle Shanahan. Right.
Seems like...
Right. No, yeah. You can have feelings and comments on whatever you want, and I'm just telling you that is a weird statement that you felt something. It's not that he knew someone or someone's. Joe Staley said what Joe Staley said is a lot closer to the situation, right? He said they don't have Frank Gore, they don't have Richard Sherman, they don't have those guys that are going to get in your face. He's not been out of that locker room as far, right? So I have less problems with what he said compared to I watched the game and I got a feeling. It's like, dude, come on.
I got a feeling too, Steve.
Yeah.
I got a feeling too. It was diarrhea. It was diarrhea for how terrible we played. I went to the bathroom and it felt better.
Was it a good game? Thing. No, it wasn't, but
it wasn't a terrible
Don't tell
game.
me it's the locker room.
I've seen worse 49er games. That was not close to being a terrible 49ers game. It just wasn't what we wanted.
Yeah.
It didn't go anywhere like we thought. But that's what I mean. Staley, I just want Staley to be quiet because Staley's not making the situation better. He's putting pressure on a team in the locker room. Those are the kind of comments that someone else would have made, that Joe Staley would have been in the locker room like, F that guy. Can't believe that guy.
100%.
Why are you saying that? Just
and
keep
you know what?
He
100% knows they're going to say F him. He knows it.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
he's doing that on purpose. Then
maybe he is. I don't know. I think he's just part of it. He's part of the media.
The media conglomerate.
They have to learn. Unfortunately.
I mean, do you disagree? It's clear this team has clicks.
Every team has clicks. 100%. The key is when you're in that game, does everyone play together? I've coached many teams, and they all had clicks. These people don't. All 53 of these guys aren't going to get along. You know what I mean? And you're in meeting rooms with certain guys all the time. I mean, is it shocking that Fred Warner's best friends with all the linebackers? No. That's just kind of how it happens, So no, there is clicks and that happens. The thing is when they get out there, as long as they're playing well together. But yeah, the clicks is not the issue. Do I think there might be problems rising up here and there? Of course, they're losing football games. There's going to be some frustration. There's going to be some aggravation. But if you really thought that if there was really dissension, somebody would say it. Somebody would come out and say it. There would be a player that would do it, and so far you haven't seen that, which means they're still together.
True.
You've been in locker rooms, Alex. You know that if there's frustration, they'll show it on the field. Has Brandon Ayuk been showing frustration on the field?
No.
Jordan Reed was throwing his helmet last year.
Jordan Reed was throwing his helmet last year because he was wide open and couldn't get the football from Nick Mullins.
Bingo.
I remember that. But yeah, Ant, you've witnessed me have a blow up on a bad football team
100%.
while trying to salvage the season, trying to get guys on the same page, trying to get guys right. And the only guy that I was, comfortable with and that we had a good repertoire and a good chemistry and a good relationship, that went out the window when tensions get high, when things aren't going the way you're supposed to, when you're trying to keep the ship afloat and you're doing everything that you possibly can to make sure everyone knows where they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to be doing, etc. And, they want to quit back at you and be like, hey, this is my huddle, no talking. It's like, dude, I'm making sure that the guys around you know what to do so that, you're around for it to still be your huddle. Because if I don't tell this dude what route he has and what this guy's responsibility is here, you're going to be sitting there in the pocket going, what's happening? What's going on? Because everyone knows what I'm running.
Everyone
knew what I was running. Everyone knew what route I was running because I ran like 3 routes the whole year, even though I was the best route running wide receiver on the football team. But hey, that's digressing. See, that's actual, not what you're looking for in terms of putting your players in positions to have success. But look, I mean, it's really easy to get frustrated with what's going on with this team. It's really easy to look at what's going on and be like, hey, there's no hope. This team is atrocious. It's played awful. As my dog's best friend said, we scored 6 points in the last 3 quarters of that football game.
He's not wrong.
You're not wrong. But there were plenty of opportunities to score significantly more points. Guys just didn't execute. It's not like there were no chances for big plays and there were no chances to drive the ball downfield. There were plenty. We didn't do the things necessary to capitalize on those moments in time.
Yeah, 100%. Usually what the problem is for most teams is red zone offense, right? They can get all the way down there and they can't execute in the red zone. That's not a 49ers problem. The 49ers are executing at over 85% of the time they score touchdowns. Their problem is they can't put drives together. And the reason they can't put drives together is because they keep making mental mistakes. They keep executing in the wrong way. They're not getting it done. That happens a lot of times with offense, and you're not able to get rhythm and get chemistry. And once you do, it usually will fix itself. But that can happen during the season. You can get it going during the season. Things start clicking. You start playing better together. You start getting certain pieces back. That's why I'm not ready to blow it up yet. But no, I do understand what people are saying because we went over the all 22 film. We know what we saw. We found 2 plays in that first half that Kyle Shanahan made bad calls. They were bad play calls. They didn't work. It wasn't there. From the alignment we saw from the defense, it wasn't going to work out. Then we saw a bunch of execution problems where Kyle Shanahan called the perfect play, and if the 49ers would have executed, not only would have converted first downs, but it also could have created possible touchdowns or even bigger plays.
Huge plays.
So right now it's an execution issue, and it's on Kyle Shanahan to make sure that these players execute at a higher level. Yeah. I always held myself to that standard. You know that. You coach with me. If my guys weren't executing, you know who was on them? I was getting after it. So he needs to get after. He needs to get after these guys, but they got to get after themselves too, because these are adult men who have played in the NFL for a long time, a lot of them, and they understand what they need to do and they need to correct it.
Hey, my dog's best friend too. He says, every team has clicks, but how many coaches are golfing with Trent Taylor in Mexico right after the Super Bowl? Bill Belichick and Tom Brady.
Wait, so what is?
So you're not supposed to golf with your players at all, apparently.
I mean, the thing is, right? That's the old thing where you can't be friendly with your players.
This isn't high school where you have a teenager and an adult, right? These are 2 grown adults, grown men who have lives outside of football.
Trent Taylor's not even on the football team anymore.
Accurate.
So Kyle Shanahan is able to separate personal life and friendship from work
play on
life.
The field and yeah.
He's saying, you know what, Trent, I'm still friends with you, but you're not good enough to play for my football team. I don't understand what the issue is. That's someone that understands their job. Yeah. So, I mean, to me, them playing golf together in the offseason actually proves the point that Kyle Shanahan is able to separate those things.
Well, he can keep them separated. David Bender, you guys think they'll be attacking our secondary, hoping for the PI calls? 100%, especially since Justin Fields has been notorious for just throwing the ball up 50-50 balls. He's been doing that a lot this season.
Well, they also have tremendous speed.
Yep.
They have Darnell Mooney. They have Marquise Goodwin, and they have Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson's no slouch.
And Cordell Patterson. No, not Cordell Patterson. Brashard Perriman.
Yeah. The only good thing we got going for us is usually Justin Fields is missing wide open receivers. So
my dog's best friend was Trent. But was Trent Taylor any good for the team when he first got to San Francisco?
Before he got injuries, 100%. Absolutely he was, and he was very pivotal for Jimmy Garoppolo when Jimmy took over in 2017.
He was Jimmy's security blanket.
He was.
He wasn't George Kittle.
He was his Wes Welker at the time. Trent Taylor, and the thing is before Trent Taylor got hurt, when he was in training camp, what was everyone saying? All the media guys, all the guys that are always negative now. Trent Taylor's the best wide receiver in camp. Trent Taylor, before the injuries, was a solid player. Unfortunately, it took its toll, and he wasn't able to play at that level. He couldn't get in and out of breaks the way he used to. Short area quickness.
The Bengals reporters were talking about Trent Taylor being one of the best wide receivers in camp this year, and there was conversation, and that's with everything Jamar Chase has done. So I mean, Trent Taylor has had his moments, but he's not the same since the injuries. And you know what? That happens to some players in the league. There's a reason why the average length of a career in the NFL is like 3.5 seasons. It's because guys take punishments. Sometimes that punishment leads to a decline and deterioration of level of play, and you find yourself out of the league, just when you're starting to maybe find your rhythm or get your groove going. Happens all the time.
Well, yeah, and then my dog's best friend. You say 2017 LOL. Yeah, 2017 is when he was drafted. He was a rookie. 2018 is when he got hurt. A contract for one of those players is 4 years. So that's why he lasted the time of his contract, and then he was gone.
Crazy. You mean to tell me, Ant, that if a guy is sort of producing and performing and you've seen glimpses and flashes, that you don't just up and move off the guy because they're not doing what you need to do, and that you can just stash that guy in IR or, put the guy in the practice squad and
usually
keep him around for a little bit until the contract runs out?
And there's a reason the average NFL length of career is 3.5 years, because most contracts are 4. You use them the length of their contract because they're cheap options, especially to fill out your special teams, fill out your 5th and 6th roles. We can't always expect every single player to be a big time player that gets drafted. Some players are drafted for specific roles.
My dog's best friend, this just goes more to our point here. He was golfing in Mexico in February 2020. Trey didn't do anything in that Super Bowl run. Come on. And not too long after that, he was out. As soon as his contract was up, he was gone. You're hung up on years and dates in terms of when this happened. The reality of the situation is Trent Taylor never got an extension. This player wasn't around past what his contract was.
He was inactive most of the time in 2020. He just wasn't even playing because he wasn't considered one of the better players on the team.
Well, here's the thing. He was, remember that first week of the 2020 season, he went out and, he had a couple catches, but he had some routes where Jimmy put the ball in space expecting Trent to be in a certain spot, and Trent wasn't there, and there was frustration there, and we were sitting there going, Trent Taylor doesn't look like, he's the guy that we thought he was a few years ago, and if he doesn't get it figured out, he's not going to be on the field. Like a week later, he was nowhere to be found, and not too long after that, he was inactive for the rest of the year.
I'm not even going to argue with because he thinks we're not even acting like Trent Taylor was like the greatest wide receiver of all time.
No, we're saying his first year in San Francisco with Jimmy Garoppolo, he was Jimmy Garoppolo's security blanket. That's all we said.
Yeah, 100%, and he was converting on third downs at a lot of the time.
So by the way, 3 career touchdowns. Give me a break.
Okay, 3 career touchdowns, great.
3 more than me.
I don't know. I'm not seeing it. We just said, right, 2017, he ends the season with a good season. He struggles for the next couple of years. No big deal.
Shooter, you're also not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. Look, Cutback Crew, we're going to take a couple of more questions from you. We got to wrap this thing up. We got to know your opponent segment that we got to get to. So a few more questions. Let us know what they are. Come on. Let us hear it. We want to answer these things. And, looking forward to everything that we have to... I gave you a chance, but I had to block you. Hey, David. Each their own.
Yeah.
Teach their own.
Yeah, true. Trent Taylor also with the punt returns.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
It's accurate.
He could secure the catch. Wasn't great with the return. A lot of that, I think, is the injuries eventually took it away from him, but whatever.
It's true. It's true. Brandon Ayuk, though, man, you got to catch the football, my guy.
Yeah.
Catch the football on the punt returns. Do we see Brandon Ayuk this week, you think, returning punts?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay. Do you see any teams trading for Jimmy and taking his cap pay? Yeah, because you can extend him if you wanted to and push it out, but
not this year.
Not this season. No, it's probably
season maybe.
Off season, yes.
Yeah, I could see someone making the move for him in the off season, bringing him in to compete. Like I said, the Houston Texans might bring somebody in. Depending on what they do with Deshaun Watson, with the whole Davis Mills, they might be looking for somebody to come,
especially if Tyrod Taylor struggles when he comes back.
Well, I think they would rather have, Casario would rather have a Jimmy Garoppolo, who he's familiar with from New England,
it's true,
over Tyrod Taylor. It's a different type of quarterback. He fits more what Davis Mills does, but once again, you got him being another stopgap. So
yeah, that's not a great situation for
Carolina.
James.
Also might be interested.
Also true. Score predictions for tonight's games for Packers Cardinals.
I got Cardinals 27-23.
Yeah, mine was fairly close to that. It was 31-23 is what I had. So we just spoiled something for you on Lock It Up. You're welcome. You're welcome, guys. Any cheap trade targets for before the deadline here? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think the 49ers will be very hard-pressed to have make any moves.
True. And then who do we get in free agency that would surprise you?
Oh, I don't know. To be honest, I haven't thought about free agency a whole lot. No, there's been so much going on with this season. I have a couple of guys that if they're free agents, I'd be interested in going at, and I would love for them to free up some cap space to go after a couple guys. But we'll see what happens.
We'll definitely see what happens. Shane, Arizona 49ers Empire, welcome, guy. Sermon needs first down runs and short yardage to set up for Elijah Mitchell. Disagree 100%.
I disagree 100% as well. If you want to put Trey Sermon in around the goal line, I'm okay with that. If you want Trey Sermon on early downs, I don't, because you're going to be dealing with a lot of seconds and eights instead of getting 2nd and 6 where you're getting with Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell's vision has been fantastic. He is a superior running back to Trey Sermon right now. It doesn't mean Sermon can't develop, but right now Elijah Mitchell's better in all facets of the game.
Trey Sermon is struggling to find holes, and when he does find holes, he doesn't have the speed to get through them quickly. I don't know if he's still dealing with stuff lingering from the knee injury in college there at the end of his senior campaign, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Sir Juju, absolutely not. We're not getting rid of Kittle. No. Anyone that says it is no. Just no.
They don't understand football either.
No.
The impact he has
so impactful to this team. When he comes back against Arizona, watch the impact he has for this 49ers offense. Watch the way Deebo Samuel's able to get open easier. Watch the way Brandon Ayuk's able to get open easier. Watch the way this run game executes at a higher level. George Kittle is that guy for this 49ers offense.
And that's it, Cutback Crew. No more last-minute questions. I see it, BV. I see it, but we'll have to get to it on the next one. Cutback Crew, we appreciate all the comments. We appreciate all the questions. We love y'all so much. You have no idea. You have no clue. It was a lot of fun with this Q&A session. Enjoy, though. We're going to end this thing right now. Enjoy the preview show. The watch page is already up. Head on over there. Hit that like button. It starts in 12 minutes. And until the next one, stay safe.
Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.